Hey guys, it's Melissa. In this video, we are going to get the brand new Brother Printmoda set up. So this is not only a fabric printer, it is also an inkjet printer, which means not only can you put a roll of fabric in there, but you can also put regular printer paper, you can put sticker paper, you can put anything that can, like a sheet that can be printed with inkjet ink, you can put it in here. So here's the thing, this is pretty, it has a bigger footprint than a lot of my other printers. However, it has to be able to take a roll of fabric. So it does have, just be aware. Now this is not super deep. I would say this is probably an 18 to 20 inch deep cabinet that I have it on, and it sits perfectly on there. So just so you know, and then I'm only 5 feet tall, so this is about how big it is. Okay, can you measure it that way? All right, so here's the thing. Power button right here on the front, and I'm going to walk you through everything else. All of the setup instructions are going to be right here on this setup screen. So once you have it powered on, you're just going, or plugged into a power source, you're just going to power it on and it's going to walk you through everything. And that's what I'm going to show you as well as we go through this video. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do is install the ink, and they're gonna walk you through this right here on this front screen. So you have 4 cartridges of ink, CMYK. They each come in a plastic package just so that no ink is leaking while it's being shipped and whatnot. You need to shake each of the cartridges before you go ahead and place it in the right-hand front compartment of the printer. Once you've got all 4 of those in there and the area is clearly marked so you know exactly where each cartridge goes, the front of the printer, the little screen, is going to know that you have all 4 in there, and then it's going to tell you that it's going to start processing the ink. This is where it's going to start pulling them through the line. This takes, as it says, about 3 minutes. As it says, while it's doing the initial ink installation, you can actually set up the printer itself. So you can go ahead, set the date and time. You can set up the Wi-Fi network as well. Again, all of this is done right here on the touch screen on the front of the machine. Very simple and intuitive to walk through. Now, once you get to the point, it's going to ask you if you want to check the printer. So what you have to do is first load the paper into tray 1. So tray 1 is the top tray. It's the one that's directly below the gray part that you would pull out that's going to catch the paper. Now, what you can see here is I actually have the paper installed incorrectly. In most printers, the paper goes in like portrait style or long ways. Not in this printer. In this printer, you actually need to rotate the paper so that the longest part of the paper, the 11, if you're using 8.5 by 11, is facing you. So you want to have the 2 shorter edges, the 8.5 part, on each side. So what that is going to do is when you put it in, you can see I now have it correctly, those gray pieces will come snug to it. So that is how it's going to print. So if you are getting a printer error, that is why. Then you'll go ahead and you will print your print quality check just to make sure that the ink is all printing correctly, and you can continue with the installation. Now, paper can also go in the bottom tray, but that's a little bit different, so we will go over that shortly. But if you have paper, I would suggest that you just put paper in tray 1. The lower tray is called tray 2. Now, this tray can take the roll of fabric, or it can take paper. The roll of fabric goes into the very front of tray 2. The way that it needs to go in is so that the edge of the paper is coming underneath, sort of like toilet paper, where the edge comes underneath and then it kind of slides under everything else in the tray, and it's going to come out at the very back part of the tray. Now, it's a little bit tricky, or it can be a little bit tricky about where to stop it. So you might have to experiment with this a little bit to make sure that the printer actually grabs the fabric when you go to print. You also, this is very, very important, when you are using this in fabric mode, if you will, you need to flip this gray piece so that it tells the printer that you do not have paper in there and that instead you are using it with fabric. This will definitely cause an error if you don't have this set up correctly. And if you need a little video to switch the media mode, there is that QR code right on the front that you can quickly scan so that you can see. Again, if you are going to put paper in tray 2, you're going to put it the same way as you do the same positioning as you would in tray 1, but you do need to make sure that then you flip the gray piece in the opposite direction as well. Okay, before we can print, we now need to install the software for the printer. If you plug in your printer to your computer and then just try to print, your printer may show up in the list of printers, but it probably won't have all of the options that you need, which is why it's really important to make sure that you install the printer package. So you're going to go to this website, and I'm going to put the link in the description below for you. And what you're going to do is select if you have Windows or Mac or another type of operating system, and then you are going to select the type of operating system. Now mine has automatically selected that I have a Mac 14. I'm actually on 14.5 at the time of this video. So once you've identified that, you're going to click OK. That's going to give you this list of 4 other options. So this is the full software package. If you can see, this includes the drivers, the firmware, and the utility. So you're going to need all of that. So the utility is basically going to show you, how much ink do you have left? How much is in if there's a waste tank? I don't even know off the top of my head yet. If there's firmware that needs to be updated. Firmware is basically software on the hardware. The hardware is the printer itself. So sometimes the printer itself needs to be updated, and the manufacturer will do that through firmware updates. And then the drivers are basically what are your options when you go to print. So this full software package will give you all of that. So you can just go ahead and click full software package, and it will download on your computer. You do need to accept this. If you want to look at what this is here, notes before downloading. Just going to tell you that, if you download the wrong one, you might have some issues. Okay, so you're going to agree, and then you will have the option to download, and you saw it's right there. So this is now a little bit of feedback. This is telling you exactly what to do. Double click in the window, in your Finder folder. I'm on a Mac, and then follow the on-screen instructions. So it's going to look like this, and you will just go ahead and follow the on-screen instructions. Now, I've already done this, so I'm doing it again, basically. You want to open this from the, internet. Yes, this is a very common warning, if you will. It even has a checkbox that says, don't warn me about this. So it's up to you, but you're going to have to proceed if you want to install the software or the drivers for your printer. Click OK, and then it's going to ask you, are you using a wireless connection? Are you going to try to use through Wi-Fi? Do you want to set up as a USB, or are you using Ethernet? I'm using Wi-Fi. I find it very easy. My office has 2 parts, and my printer is in the other one, and it prints fine. So go ahead and select what you want to do. You need to, just continue to follow through the on-screen instructions. It's going to tell you exactly what to do. You do need to, if you want to do the setup for the other ones, the online registration, this is going to set up the warranty. Mobile device setup, that is going to be Artspira. But in the meantime, the driver installation is there. Now, what does that mean? So let's just say I'm going to go to print. So what happens is when I go to print and I have my printer here, this is what I'm getting with the utility. So if you don't have these options here, then you haven't installed the drivers. Excuse me, I said utility. If you don't have these options here, and you just have something that's more standard, like let me pick a different one so you can kind of see. This is just a right. So see how this is here, and it doesn't have the option for roll or anything like that. That means that you just have the standard your computer settings for the printer. You need to make sure that you have these other options here, and that is going to give you everything that you need. Feed, paper type. Down here where it says printer info, this is like the utility right here, okay? So you need all of this information. So make sure that you do that before the first time that you try to print. And as far as setup, that is pretty much it. And then you're ready to go ahead and print your first print.